Excellent. So hopefully we are now sorted. It's never quite guaranteed in this world. I don't want to do that. I'll just wait and see if anyone comes in, because it's never quite guaranteed. None of this is absolutely certain when it comes to technology. Good afternoon, Jan. Thank you so much for joining me, my darling. It's lovely. Now I can pick up. Thank you so much. Right, I can turn that. Excellent. Now I can see what's going on, which is always helpful. So I hope you're well and that you're enjoying actually what looks to be some very nice weather today. That makes a big change, doesn't it? Makes a big change. Let's just move some of this away, out the way. I've gone live a little early, so we're just going to wait for some people to come in. And in keeping with my plan to reuse, recycle, use up stuff that's in my stash, I have got stuff out to play with from my favourite companies. So there we are. I think we're just a little bit before 3 o'clock, so we'll see where we go. Feel free to share as you want to. I've just got, whilst we're waiting for people to come in, a little bit maybe. There we are. Oh dear, that's all sticky, soggy, nasty, isn't it? Yuck. Let me just, we'll get rid of that paper top. We'll just add some primer onto this MDF piece because it needs to be done anyway. And good morning, Miss good morning, Miss Edie. So Miss Edie is joining us from the US. Hello, Anya. I've done some prep, not masses. The bird cage is lovely. It is a layered piece, so that it will, so that I can add some dimension and things. Good afternoon, Sarah. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing. So let me just be careful along the bottom so I don't cause myself problems when it comes to that being slotted in. So I'm going to be using rice paper from an old Stamperia collection. They will be on offer, I think, in Dawn Bibby's shop, but possibly in lots of other places too, because it's, as I say, it's not a new collection. And I am just adding some acrylic primer to my MDF, because I've got two sides to this that I'm intending decorating, because why make life easy and decide to do two sides on a live buff? That's because it has to happen, isn't it? There we are. So we'll add some primer to this. Just need it a bit paler for the rice paper. One of them is quite dark, one of them is definitely on the paler side, so we need a softer base to work on. I need to add a little bit more. You can see where the MDF is pulling this in to, sucking everything in. So hopefully next layer will give me a little bit better coverage. There we are. Won't matter if it's not completely solidly white, but a paler colour than the brown would help. There we are. So I'll pop that there. We can let that dry, and then we can, whilst that's popped over there to dry, I'm going to break all the rules, because I'm not going to bother to prime these two pieces, and that's because I'm layering up as I go, and I can do this other side of that in a minute. So let me just save me having 25 dozen tons of brushes to wash. We'll pop that over there, and then we'll pick a reasonable sized brush. So I have, I'm using my Stamperia paints today, partly because they need to be used and because they are colour coordinated. So that is Rose Amelia, so Rose Red, which I'm just going to pop on here as an underlay, because it's not going to stay that, but the red will work very nicely with the papers that I'm intending using, and so I'm going to be adding an extra coat over the top of this anyway, so it won't matter if it's not entirely even. And I can use this as a palette for my piece, and then we can just build up our pieces as we go. There we are. That can go over there. I'll cover that. Oh dear, whose message? Whose message? No idea. Anyway, it doesn't matter, does it? So let's just add the same red to our birdcage front. It's not going to stay red. Controversially, the colour might be for I'm going to convert it into, but hopefully good. There we are. So let me just, someone's deciding to bing, aren't they? But never mind. Let me just pop that up there out of the way. There we are. So as I say, I decided that I would again pull out the Stamperia the paints. Quite often use those on for my own personalised rather than the pent up ones, partly because they're there and partly because then I need to use them up. So there we are. Let's just carry on and we'll give this a good coverage with some of this, and then we can let that dry before we move to the next step for that, and we'll probably have to do a little bit speed drying of some of the other bits along the way, because this is a project. Yeah, well, it wouldn't be a project for me if I didn't have lots of layering, would it? Yeah, that's just what happens. Good afternoon, Dee. I think I saw you come in. Aha, so it was you binging. That's fine. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. I've got notifications switched off on my phone, so that doesn't bing for me. But the computer does, because I'm streaming through Facebook. I haven't worked out how to turn those off. Might have to have a little explore of some settings. So was that what was Sarah John saying? Good evening, Julie. Hello, Sue. Hi, Lynette. Good afternoon, Sarah. Hello, Alison. Good. I missed a lot of people then, didn't I? Hello, Sophie. Sarah had some goodies moved and more clay, lovely, and some gonks. Yeah, I think they're probably still quite popular, aren't they, the gonks? But maybe not quite as popular as last year and the year before. Everything has its season, doesn't it? And then we move on. So I've got a nice warm conservatory. If the sun comes out, we will end up with you know, it's interesting. So I don't know about you and your white balance, because on my computer, this is looking like a very orangey red. And it's so not an orangey red. It is very definitely a blue based red. So let me just pop that. Actually, let's just give that a blast dry, and then we can put the next layers onto this bit before and then I'll have a little scrape with the table. Hello, Sheila. I didn't see you come in, my darling. Welcome. I did see Sophie. Sophie, have you got biscuits on the table today? I know you had a digestive when you were at your mum's earlier on. Good afternoon, Julie. So, welcome. So let's just give this a little bit of a blast dry. Because we've got Well, we've got to get it dry one way or the other, really. That's all there is to it. I might have a little bit of a clean up in a minute though, because I don't really want the red paint coming onto the next there. So we will get it out again. There we are. So let's just pop that over there while I give this a little scrape and get rid of this. Hopefully it won't. It's a scratch rather than a squeal when I do this, so that's not so bad. Nothing worse than some of the sounds that scrapers cause. But this will just allow me to lift this off here. And because I'm using my glass mat instead of anything else, it means that I've got minimal waste and I'm not putting masses of paint covered stuff into a bin that when it can only then be incinerated. So it's more viable from an environmental point of view too. I know that bit's wet, so there we are. Let's just do that. There we are. Okay, pick that up. You're saving some busy. Dear, you're welcome to your sugar-free sweets. Just read the packet, because most of them have got a product called sorbitol in them, and if you have more than the recommended amount, you will have unpleasant side effects. And I won't go into more details because it's maybe not the best for a live. So enjoy, treat yourself with pleasure, but they should still be a treat, because the xylitol, which is the usual sweetener in them, is not brilliant for you. She says, oh, that's what I've done with them. You see, I put them behind me. There we are. So, it's a beautiful day in the UK. I've actually got washing out on a line drying, which is even better. Now, one of the problems is that, over here I've got some bright sort of brightness, and that's being caused by light reflecting. So you didn't pay attention to the instructions, Dee, and promptly munched your way through a packet. Not good, not good. There's a reason why packets have warnings on them. Definitely is a reason. Let me just blast that, and then I can get the paint on the primer on the back of that as well. I take it, Sue, you know through your previous personal experience that you definitely are not meant to overdose on diabetic sweets. It's not a good thing to do at all. Oh, that's a pity, Miss Edie. Well, you know, we have had more than our fair share of rain in the UK, but so have large chunks of the US, I think, as well. I will wax the edges of this afterwards, so I don't need to worry about going around the edges of this, because wax will sort that out quite nicely for me. This is the back, so it's not going to be having the layer on it, but it will have some rice paper because I'm going to decorate both sides. Well, that's the plan. We might not glue everything on one side in the live, but because otherwise we'll end up with a pickle, I think, with one side falling off, or having to balance things off camera for people, which is also always a bit of a challenge. So let's just pop this onto here. There we are. We'll pop that into there. Wouldn't be alive for me without some form of crackle. Now I wonder which version I'm going to use today. We all know that I can't manage to do a project without some crackle somewhere on the line. Possibly, maybe. Yeah, definitely need some crackle somewhere on the line. Wouldn't be meat without. So there we are, that can go over there. That one can sit in there. We'll lift that up and pop it out of the way, she says, and then we'll lid that. You've got some muffins but have had too much dinner. I don't know. So the crackle medium of choice for me today is the 1 component crackle from Pentart. The country crackle from Stamperia is very, very similar if that's what you've got. So I'm not a great believer in saying to people you can only use one product when I know that the effects are going to be essentially the same. That doesn't seem to be right and proper. There we are. We'll pop that to the side. Let's just add some to this. We'll get this. So we'll do the drying. We'll have some moulds again because again it's not a piece for me without some form of mould, is it really? Yeah, it just isn't. There we are. Don't really want great big globs of that. It's tucked into it. But there we are. We can have a little clear up of that. Wipe off the stuff off the surface. Have I got something on everything? Lift out those extra bits, pop that into there. I've dried all my 3 years. So I had 2 loads that I put through the washing machine yesterday, and they were dried indoors without a tumble dryer. I've not used a tumble dryer for years. And we had another set to go through that's gone out, and a combination of nice sun and good breeze I think is doing well, it's good. A really good job of everything. Get rid of the lumps that we've managed to get into there. I'm sure it will work if you follow the instructions, Sarah. Never used that one to be able to make any more detailed comments, but there are, there are lots of different effects, so you just need to be aware of that when you're working with the crackle mediums. Easier to buy them. Yeah, definitely. And if you buy them, you get them in limited quantities, which I think is definitely better for the waistline, because if you make them yourself, you end up with, I think, an awful lot more. Well, I'm assuming I did get some crackle medium on that bit, but if I didn't, it won't matter. So let's just get this dry. So this is a heat stable crackle medium, but if you leave your heat gun in one place for too long, then it will bubble your medium and that will disturb your overall effect. So it's just worth just keeping your heat gun moving. You'll see that I move about quite a lot when I'm doing things, when I've got the heat gun out, when I'm using crackle mediums. So just so we're aware that I don't bubble the medium itself. There we go. So let's just pop that into there and carry on. Lovely. Yeah, it just definitely looks like an orange red on my phone, but it's a blue red in reality. But there we are. Can't have everything, can we? We just need to get this dry, and it's never going to dry without the use of a heat gun in the course of the life, so it is just a question of going for it, I'm afraid, and and watching paint dry or the pot boil, as the case may be. Okay. Good afternoon, Marisol. Welcome. How is Andorra today? I hope the desert sands that were blowing in the other week have disappeared, and you've got a nicer atmosphere to breathe in today. I don't think I've got the velour crackle. I've got some velour varnish, but I've never tried. I don't think it is. I can see the pot. Let me just grab my pot that I've got. No, it's definitely varnish, not crackle. There we are. This one, maybe, but not crackle. Hello Jenny, welcome. Good afternoon Rima, welcome. Hello Crafty Jacks. It keeps freezing. It's not freezing on my screen, Dee, so maybe it's your net connection, because for a change mine's okay. Possibly go out and come back in like July. See, freezing's always a good idea, isn't it? Really good idea. Well, the problem in my house is that they go into the freezer, which is outside, never to see the light again until I have to defrost it, because I then forget that they were there. I've still got some wet areas on these that I need to get dry. I think it might be your dongle, Dee, because it's definitely, mine's working. Mine's working. Yeah, I've never tried the velour crackle. I've got so many others. But I might order myself some. I can get Pentart to send me some with my next pack. And then I can see just how well it does or doesn't work. We're nearly there. We are nearly there. No point in trying to add a layer over the top when we're not completely dry, because it definitely won't behave at that point. Good afternoon, Anna. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. Much appreciated. It's nice to see friends joining in. Feel free to share wherever you want. Spread the love is always nice. Not always possible, and I get that, but if you can, it's always appreciated. There we are. So, what is that? Let's just give this a dry one, a bit of a blast. Yeah. So we've got beautiful weather today, actually, Marisol. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful weather, which makes a real change. So let's just give that a little bit. And then, controversially, or maybe not so controversially, I've got Indian turquoise. Now I know how old these are because it's still got the Italian writing on them, and of course they changed quite a while ago now to having the names in English. So there we are. Let's just grab a pouncer. There we are. So why have I chosen that bright blue? Well, the answer is on the papers there is a blue, so hence the decision. Let's just go that in there. So as I say, this is a crackle that does not like to be overworked, so, and certainly not once it's dried. And I'm going to get fine crackles because of the way I'm applying this, and that's the intention. And I am really loading that brush. And you think I might have put out a lot of paint, but because I'm loading it, then we will, I will go through a reasonable amount. There we are. Come on, out you come. I love birdhous. Yeah, Stamperia have two blues, two turquoises, and I much prefer the Indian turquoise over the other one, which I think is just called turquoise, to be fair. I think it is just called turquoise. There we are. Let's just cover that. There we are. That can go look over there. That can go onto there. We might well, even though, let's see how much, rather than, no, I think I am going to need some more. And I'm conscious that I know I will have a fair amount of that blue in my brush, but for the purposes of this, it's just going to be easier. And it's definitely load up and and go over as little as possible, because the more you go over things, the more you will end up with it lifting the crackle. And then we'll give these a heat dry, and I'll clear up the mess while I, there we are, we'll just edge the sides of that. There we are. Cool. So that can go there. Don't want the blue on that. That can go there. That can go there. Let's just pick up some of that onto there. Move that over, and we'll have another clear down. So we don't end up with it every which way. Right, let's. There we are. So I had a lovely day yesterday with my very good friend Liz. We spent the day chatting, putting the world to right, crafting. Oh, we had a really lovely time. Really lovely time. Let's get the blue off my hands, and let's wipe this mess up, and then we can take a heat gun to those pieces. There we are. We don't need to have, but they are crackling beautifully, though I suspect that you won't be able to see them at the moment. And let's wipe my hands. I've got a large selection of wipes after last weekend sitting on top of my ring light, neatly having dried. It's been very warm in my conservatory. It's just beautiful. I love it, love it. Hopefully summer's on its way. Let me just give this a good last dry, and hopefully, so I know it's crackly. Yeah, you can. Can you see it? Let me see if I can get it in focus. Yeah, there we are. I can see just how well it's crackled at that angle. It's very much about getting it at an angle that it wants to show in. And some areas where it's doesn't look as if it's crackled, it actually has, but they're just very fine crackers. Crackles. You think I might be thinking of belly saying crackers. Crackles. Look at the forecast. It has a lot of bring down for about a foot of snow, and it says sunny for 3 weeks. I think waiting and seeing Joan is probably the most sensible thing to do. Yeah, so that can go over there. That will continue to dry. Oh, she says that can sit over there. Let's just give this a waft. These are much finer, but we'll get these done. So it has crackled in the centre. Crackle's definitely the new embossing powder when it comes to me. That's for certain. Let's just give this a little waft so I can handle it at least. There we are. And move it out of the way. We've not got a complicated mate today. There we are. That can also move out of the way. Pop that over there. Don't contaminate my next project. Right, excellent. So I have two Stamperia rice papers, one for the front. It is a very lovely crackle, and you get one effect if you put it on with a sponge, and the thicker the top layer you get bigger cracks, the thinner the top layer you get smaller cracks, and there we are. So that one is going to go onto that, and it's quick and it's easy, and so, yeah, that just makes life. If you want something that's reliable, then it helps. And I've got a reasonably soft brush here, and I've just got some decoupage glue to pop on here. So let me just give this a good coat, let it sink in as much as it wants to. I should have started at the bottom because, hey ho, I want that bit to line up there. And I know I haven't put glue at the bottom, ladies. I've not completely lost the plot. I promise you, I have not completely lost the plot. There we are. So now, having got that on there, I can lift this up and make sure I've got enough glue underneath, and then roll it down. And that way hopefully we'll avoid having too many bubbles in it. There we are. So push it down as I go, you see, and it's moved down to where I didn't want it. Then, yeah, that's just typical, isn't it? You know, there we are. Don't want it in that bit. There we are. So and now because this paper is now soggy, I'm much more likely to get crackles, wrinkles in it. Not too bad, not too bad. A blind man in the dark wouldn't see it, as a friend would say. So let me just do this. I might want to add some antiquing to it, so I'm just going to make sure that I have it properly sealed in, because that way if I do decide to add any antiquing projects, I know that I can lift it off the areas I don't want it. And as ever, when I'm using applying my rice paper glues and things, I either go side to side or top to bottom. I don't wriggle my brush in every possible direction, because each brush stroke then is a potential area for collecting distressing medium in it, and I would rather have it in a uniform place up and down or side to side. It could be subtle rather than a hodgepodge all over the place. So there we are. Let me just pop that there. So we'll pop that to dry. There. We will do the other side eventually, because we have two of those. There we are. So now we have some moulds. Yay! Well, lots of moulds, because there's some for the front and some for the back. Hey. So we have ombre, which is a greeny brown and really good for shadows, but it's definitely not grey, and it's definitely it definitely has a hint of green in it. And then we've got, let's go with foliar, so leaf green, for those of you that are looking for the current Stamperia colours. And let's just pick up these pieces and give some of these a mix. So we're just going to do what you see me do on many occasions, and that is colour mix on my pieces. There we are, so that I can get tones and shades quite happily rather than a single colour for my pieces. We'll make sure we get the edges. There we are. So I'm thinking that that's giving me a nice rose leaf green, really. So this mould I'm using is by Dadarkar Arts. It is available in the UK on Etsy from I Love Shabby Chic. She has her own shop, so that's always helpful. Now this might be a bit of a challenge because there are some of the calyx on this to paint in, and I might regret having done the green first when it comes to painting the red and have to re-go over it, but hey ho, we'll worry about that when we get to it. There we are. Well, why is that done that? Because that's definitely, oh there we are, that's better. Sorry, I missed some of the rain. It rained a lot in Liverpool. Yeah, we've had some pretty horrible rainy weather, it has to be said. So Joan, it's not quite guaranteed what the weather's going to do nowadays, is it? Definitely not very uber predictable. There we are. Now this is a mould that is full of lots of little bridging bits. It's definitely, as far as I'm concerned, not one to try casting with clay. I have seen it cast with clay, but for me it would be probably a step too far to get it out, unless I put it into the freezer first. But yeah, for me it's definitely a mould that works better when it's, or more easily when it's cast with that. There we are. So we can mix these up. There we are. It won't take us forever because my painting tends not to. There we are. I'm definitely liking the addition of the ombre into there. So there we are. We'll just get this sorted and we will get there. And then we can move over to some other colours eventually. So yeah, you can see how that it's a very, yeah, it's a quite, well, it's a quite a detailed mould, and there are definitely some areas that are quite shallow. So when it comes to casting, you do need to be just aware of that. Hello Bee, welcome my darling, welcome, welcome. There we are. We'll just happily paint these in. Get all the edges, that's always helpful. And so I've got moulds for the front and the back of my piece, so that's why I've got so many of them. But then again, it wouldn't be one of my makes, would it, if I didn't have 3 tons of moulds on. Though April is going to be, well, certainly in terms of pent-up lives, is going to be a mould-free occurrence, I think. But hey, So yeah, I like this mould, but it is maybe a bit of a challenge. I can paint over where I don't want the green on that bit later on, so that's fine. Yeah, I've got most of that. Pop that over there. Yeah. Get all of those. It's always the edges that evade me, isn't it, when I'm alive? There we are, and then we find them later on. So that's so this is a very fragile, stroke delicate. It's got lots of difficult areas in it. So let me just pop this down here, and then I think you'll be able to see it come to life as we do them. It might be more difficult for me to make sure I've got all of the nooks and the crannies, but I might well be seen to be abusing some brushes, but it's definitely going to be easier than picking it all up, because it is, well, it's quite floppy, even though this resin is absolutely solid, because these some of these areas are quite fine. It's definitely you can see how it's moving around as I pounce, and I'm deliberately pouncing because it's allowing me to get into the nooks and the crannies and down the sides of this piece without having to pick it up. I'm hoping that way I'll minimise the amount of yuck on my fingers. She says that's really wishful thinking, isn't it, when it comes to me, but hey ho, there we are. But we can be wishful thinking. Let's see what we're going to do here. That's definitely leafy. That's definitely leafy. That can be, I'll pick that up to do the bud. There we are. I'm going to have to pick that up to do the pink, the red bit of that bud as well afterwards, but that's okay. We can cope with that. Yeah. And that one we can cover. We'll give them all a blast dry anyway, so that's okay. Is that all in there? Yes, it is. Right, well, we'll need some of that nice ombre out again in a minute. And I don't mind if some of the leaves get some red on it as I paint those, because actually that's very common in nature to mix have some of the colours in the petals are part of the greenery of the pieces that you make. So let's just do that. Be a completely covered piece. You should, yeah. I can live with wishful thinking, B. I can live with wishful thinking. There are some people who manage to make, do lots of painting on lives without getting their mitts dirty. Dorota Kotovich is one of them. And her work is A, beautiful, and B, she always, she definitely can manage to not end up filthy dirt, with that dirt on everything. But yeah, it's not my skill set, that's for certain. Because there's no question that the easiest way to getting into the nooks and the crannies is definitely to pick it up, and that inevitably means that I'm moving wet, stuff that's wet. There we are. It's just, I can see some white bits coming through. There we are. As I move it around, I can always come back and add another layer, can't I? So that's okay. There we are. We will pick, but if I can get a lot of it done like this, or with it flat, it's going to be a little bit easier, I think. So there we are. We've got two of these to do, but that's okay. We'll just take some of that excess paint and pop it onto there. Mix that in as we go. So it's just a beautiful mould, but again, use the moulds that you've got. Just because I've chosen this one because I've got it doesn't mean that that's got one that you have to, that you have to use them. There's plenty of other rose moulds or floral moulds on the market that would, that many of you might well have in your stash, that will do a pretty similar job at the end of the day. Without you needing to be buying everything, because you just simply can't have everything that's been made, because the manufacturers produce stuff faster than any of us, even prolific crafters such as myself can never manage to use it. And of course moulds last, if they're looked after, an infinite number of times, don't they? So yeah. But this will give me some nice colour variation by mixing these on there. I'm not a model. No, I'm not a model painter, but I do enjoy making. Now look at the, see now then, I'm going to pick this up because I can't be doing with all of that lot and all of the areas I've missed. So let me just pick that up, add some of that into here. To do the same with the other one in a minute, but we should be able to pick that up. You see, in spite of my best efforts, I've got lots of areas that I need to get covered. It's worth picking that up to do that, because it will show on the finished piece. I'm not particularly wanting to use masses and masses of antiquing stuff. I might get some out, but the intention is not to have an overtly brown piece today. The intention is to have, there we are, a piece that is pretty. hopefully it's pretty much gone round that. That I can pick up. There we are. Cool. So let's pop that down. Let's put that over there, that over there, that over there. That can sit over there, that can move over there. We can pop this back into the centre, and we can work from there. So what's everyone else got planned for the rest of the day when I finish? Have you got something nice planned, or are you going to have a nice leisurely evening? I know Liz Wheeler has got a live at 5. I think it's in her Journal It templates group, so feel free to ask to become a member if you're not already. Let's just cover the top of that, and I'll go back in with a fine brush and do the rose details later on. So I know she's got a live then. Always worth watching because it's full of lots of different tricks and tips, and the templates are fabulous because it means that you've got lots of options and not lots of metal work, and you can get lots of uses out of them. They're definitely not a one-trick pony, which is always a blessing. We're going to need to pick this up and go around the edges again, but we'll not worry about that rosebud. We'll sort that out with the red later on. You see it? Oh, and then when you're mad, you miss bits on the original one. There we are. It's amazing how much detail you see the more you look at the pieces. There we are. Let's see. I knew I was going to be missing bits. It's just inevitable. But this piece is springy, so it's moving away as I paint it, which is interesting. You can see just how, and that's because it's such a thin casting. Makes it quite economical in terms of casting, but there we are. Let's just add some bit more of those bits that we've missed over there. That's not a missed area, so let's just get that tiny leaf that's in there. There we are. Sorry, I'm concentrating on doing this. I'm aware that I might have gone just a tad silent. Once I've got these bits sorted, it'll be less quiet. But there we are, and I'll have a little look at the screen in a minute and see what people are saying. There we are. Just need to get a few more of those bits covered. There we are. Right, let's just give that a little blush dry whilst hello Sabine, welcome. Hello Maria, thank you very much. Good evening Agnes, welcome. Hello Agatha, and good afternoon Julie. I must message you as opposed to ignoring. We've just been a tad busy. Well, the house is now just about done. I am indeed just trying to get it covered without breaking anything. because I need to pick up and do some of the other bits. So let me just pop the blue out of the way, clear some of this mess, pop that over there, pop that over there. I will not remove those over there. See, I can see bits on that already, so let me just pick that up. There we are. It's always worth just double checking everything. There we are. Don't have to be anatomically, botanically even correct. It just needs to be covered. There we are. Not bad, not bad. That's not going to wait. That's all right. They're done because I picked those up. Excellent. Just let me clear this. Well, so's going to dry, and then I'm just going to grab my rice paper and tackle that piece in a minute. But I don't want to get the green onto the rice paper where I don't want it. And I suppose if you were really thinking about the environment, you could save all of these little scrapings, pop them in a packet or a tub, and keep them for texture. Make quite nice grass, I think, if you in these colours, just sprinkled on. Sometimes there's such a thing as trying too hard. Well, I think the Stamperia moulds are good value, my darling. They're relatively inexpensive for the numbers of moulds that you've got. I know they say they're cold pour only, but so shouldn't really be being used with resin, but I've, to be honest, never had a problem. But I don't have a resin that is super hot as it cures. So let me just pop this over here. We'll give this a goodly bus. So I want to file off my edges of this before I add it onto the second piece, and that requires me to have the edges absolutely dry, otherwise they'll tear. It wouldn't be a huge disaster on this side, but it would be on the other side. Okay, we have a good old-fashioned nail file, and because this is dry, it's going to come away quite relatively easily. And as ever, when you're don't scrubble up and down, just literally come down off. I mean, I'm doing it at speed, but if you come down, off, down, off, down, off, and then back on, you'll just get a far nicer edge, even going around all of these difficult areas around the top of here. And it doesn't have to be a slow process. As you can see, I can whiz round here relatively simply, but I am definitely sanding down, lifting off with each movement. And I guess for me it's now automatic, but it's important to reiterate that, and I apologise if you've heard me saying it before, but I think it's, you know, it's such an important part of sanding down pieces that you know how to do it effectively and safely. So that can go over there. So do I want that to land on there? Answer no. Have I got that reasonably dry? I've still got some wet on here, so let me just dry the middle of this piece. Good afternoon, Sharon, welcome. Hello Jane, thank you for joining me. We've had a... Hello Tracy, thank you. it's always difficult. You don't always see everyone coming in. Facebook's pretty good. I've got you live with my comments going live, and I've also got it on the phone, and the two systems show things slightly differently, and I can see just how big a time lag there is between me doing things and it actually appearing on screen. Right, let's just pop that over there, and then we've got our second glass paper. You could just do a plain background, but I'm deliberately chosen to do this as a double-sided piece, partly because I had lots of product that I'm using up, and that's a softish brush, and because it's just going to make, it's a different way of, and I like, different way of working, and also I like my pieces to have, both backs and fronts of my pieces to be decorated. So I'm back to my decoupage varnish and glue here. Just going to be careful that I don't get my rice paper in that splodge of green paint that's over on the side, and I've deliberately left it over there just to, so that I can there we are. Let's just pop that over there. Yeah, reasonably central. Okay, let's just fold that back, and now I can add some more glue. Come back here. Hopefully it's not going to move too much with me. So on this side it doesn't matter if I scribble up and down back to front, but on the front it absolutely does, and I absolutely won't. You could put a polythene bag over that to smooth it down. I'm not worried today. There we are. And then we can get this to dry quite happily. There we are. I'll put that onto there. Hopefully then the door is reasonably central. I can feel that I haven't got enough glue on that edge. Let me just pop that over there, and then we can give this an up and down coat to seal it all in, and hopefully it will do a nice job. There we are. To find the edges, allow me to get this sorted. There we are. Will help seal it all into place, which is again quite important, giving me a layer of protection. Now you can really see on here why I chose that turquoisey colour for my crackle there. Might have seemed like a very unusual choice, but I just looked at the papers I had and then went with colours that would pull key elements out from the pieces I was using. And that's the easiest way I find to decide what colours I'm going to use and where I'm going to take them to. There we are. Let's just make sure we have that given a properly good coat. And there we are. That can go in there. That can now sit back on the floor. It's always good. There we are. I don't know if anyone else has come in, so I apologise if we have missed anyone. I'm not sure that I need to go back over with the green. I'm going to leave that there anyway. And I'm now got coral red. So let's just put, let's just say this. So that's the coral red, which is an orangier red. You'll see what I mean by that being an orange red when I put, hopefully, the rose red. You can see that the two colours are different. Now then, let's just pop that over there. We're going to need some reasonable fat brushes, and then let's go for, there we are, that one will work, and then we can have some thinner brushes. So we're going to add into our roses the rosy red. I'm going to add some of that into there, but it's not going to stay that red, and we're going to then add some of the rose red, the darker red, and mix the two together. So we're going to have slightly different colours, and I'm going to lift this up. There we are. And then we'll go silent while we're doing things, no doubt. There we are. There we are. So on it, so I've put the piece I'm painting deliberately on its edge so I can see where I'm going. There's a reason I left that out, clearly. There we are. Pop that back into there, give that a little clean. So it's interesting, reds often don't cover as well as you'd hope them to do in one go, but that's fine. You can always add a second coat as you want to. There's definitely a transparency to some of the reds that isn't overly helpful when it comes to painting moulded pieces, but there we are. Right, now then. Okay. You can see here that we've missed a huge chunk of that, so let's just add that in. Get rid of the red I've put onto there. It doesn't matter if I've got some red on there. There we are. We can pop that there. We'll swap to the smaller brush. There is no question about it that if you're painting in detailed areas, you definitely need to have an appropriate size brush to do it with, and then I can just pick up those pieces. There we are. And then we've got buds that might vaguely look like buds working quite nicely. Let's just not pick that up with all that on it. There we are. Yeah, in spite of me thinking I'd got all of the bits, I clearly didn't. There we are. They're beginning to look a bit more reasonable. That can go over there, that can go over there, that can go there. Right, let's go back to our reds. I'm definitely going to need to add another layer of red onto that piece. I can see already that's not going to stay that splodgy mess in the middle. Ladies, do not fret, I have a plan. I have a plan. There we are. We'll put that over onto its side. I can get into the nooks and the crannies, get the edge of that petal. And there's no point in going back over that other one where I can see it's transparent and now until that top layer has had a chance to dry, because all that will happen is I will shift the colour around rather than adding colour on the top. There we are. just there we are. And let's just see if that is, yeah, so that's now going to let me add some colour just to make that more solid. That's better. Okay, pop that over there. And yeah, you could spend ages, work out exactly where you're going to pop them on the project, then go for the, you know, what's going to be bright, what's going to be light, where's it's going to be darker. But Mother Nature isn't that fussed, is she? Let's face it, she just isn't. So she's all things for all things. So that's what we're going to do. You can't see your painting. I'm sorry, Sue. I have that habit, don't I, my darling? I do apologise. There we are. We're just mixing our colours on our pieces as we go. Hopefully that's now in shot. It certainly looks to be on my screen. There we are. So when I'm working on my own, I have the pieces right up to my face, you know, so makes life much easier. Oh dear, how did I manage to completely miss the same flipping, there we are, leaf? Hopefully that will work. Right, now let's just pick that up, so I know that I have a little bud here that I need to get the details of. There we are. And I've also know that there is a little bud in there, so let's just pop that into there whilst the going is good. And because I've picked that up when it wasn't quite dry, we've got patchy green, so let's just add some bits onto here and make that a little bit more solid. There we are. Cool. So now what with these, because these are down, I can probably paint some of these bigger pieces with it sitting. So that's the Rosemelia paint, and this is the coral, and I'm just happily mixing them all in together because that's my, because I'm quite happy to do that. Yeah, you see we've got more flipping bits of green that we need to cover over. There we go. Let's just those are the bits we can see whilst the going is good. There might be another rosebud in there, but it's not going to get painted if there is. It's too small. There we are. Now if you wanted these to feel like real petals, then you could, I'm not going to, use velvet powder on top of this, a little bit of glue, some velvet powder, and then add colour match your velvet powder to the flower colour, and then just sprinkle it on, rub it in. It would work quite nicely. It would work quite nicely. There we are. So let's just, so I've got some red coming into there, but it doesn't matter because, as I say, the reality of life is that Mother Nature takes some of the, takes the colours, and the colours in the leaves are actually in the flowers are actually in the leaves anyway. There we are. Cool. Let's pop this one over there, and I've clearly decided that this one has more red on this bud than the one on the other one, but that's fine, we can do that. We can add in some green if we want to. We might add in some more green later on, because it doesn't, to me it doesn't, looks too big an area. There we are. Let's pop that into there. Let's just pop that into there. Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Mind you, I did pick them up and was fairly careful. Look at these, not too bad. And then she finds a big area that hasn't got covered, and another one over there. There we are. See, as I say, they're bouncing around. So there we are. Let's just pop that down here, and we'll scribble this into here. We'll give them a blast dry, and then we're going to add some yellowy orange. I've actually picked a colour called saffron for the centres of my roses, because I think that it'll work nicely, and then we can see what we've got and how well covered we are, and if necessary go back over. I always forget that for whatever reason that the Stamperia colours always for me need an extra coat compared to the Pentart ones, but yeah, Stamperia we've gone to a lot of trouble to commission colours that will go with their paper pads, so it seems logical to use the paper collection, the colours that they've got, because you know that they've been designed to work with the colours in the papers, if that makes sense. I hope it does. I'm going to be moving some red over, I think, onto some leaves in a minute, but that's okay because I can feel that I've got tacky. But there we are. So let's just add some extra layers onto that. That definitely feels like it needs some more to be more slid. There we are. Getting lots of colour variation, which is cool. Oh, how did we miss the side of that? There we are. So let's just move those over. Move that over. You'll never get me painting two of these identical, because as you see, I just mix and match everything as I work, so it's never going to be exactly the same, is it? There we are. Cool. Right, let's just, before I pick up the orange, give these a little bit of a blast. And we can add some bits. It is a very, very beautiful mould. I can see that what I said I wanted to do, which was just add a little bit of green into there. She says making a mess of that. So there we are. We'll just unmess that by adding a little bit more. There we are. Right, we'll not worry too greatly then. Let's just cover that. There we are. With mucky mitts of green all over everything. So if I try adding the thank you, Sophie, the yellow onto here at the moment, which is an orangey yellow, it's just going to mix in with the red, and that's going to defeat the purpose of what I'm wanting to achieve. So just bear with while I blast these. Let's get rid of some of this stuff out of the way. Don't need that. Don't need that. We'll need that. So I can see some of these flowers are a little patchy, but again I'm going to call that colour variation rather than patchy, because that seems to me to be logical. Go with the flow. Ugh. So that is an acrylic paint that's been around the block for too long and is now has separated out. So here we are. So this is the saffron. Put that into there. So there we are. That will work. That will work. So we'll just pop that into here. And there's lots of texture in this, which does not which I need to get the liquid paint into. There we go, lots of dots. Got too much paint on my brush, so let me just bear with while I roll some of that off. And where I put the red underneath, I'll get again some tonal variation, because the yellow won't cover as solidly on the red as it will on the white. There we are. Let me just lift that over, partly because this one looks to be drier. Roll that off. Is not all dry, but that's fine. Let's just right. So because that is mixing, because that is still wet, I'm going to move over here, then give these a bit more of a blast, and then we'll repaint that. There we are. Okie dokie. Let me just blast these centres. And then I can add the yellow into the centre of these. She says, yeah, that's better. We're not quite colour mixing quite as badly as we were. Still a bit, but hey ho, we'll live with that for the moment. There we are. Slip that into there. Let's just move that lot out of harm's way. We're going to call the painting done. We're going to mop up this almighty mess. Okay. Oh. Yeah. So I don't end up with wet paint where I don't want it. So let's clear that. Hello Natalie, good evening Betty, welcome my darling, thank you for watching. How is the beautiful Emerald Isle today? Into there. Right, excellent. Let's just, before we end up with that yellow that isn't dry, we'll just give that another mop. And then, you'd be delighted to know we're at a point of putting it together with some waxes and possibly some umber. So let's just get this piece dried on here. You can see white the glue up in that corner so we know that that's not dry. There we are. Sorry if that's making anyone feel poorly as I wiggle around. I haven't seen anyone commenting for ages. I don't know whether that's because people have are just watching quietly, or whether because highly possibly that my feed has stopped telling me what's going on. I always blame technology because for me that's nearly always the problem. Oh, excellent. So because we'll have to do good evening Patricia, welcome my darling. I don't know how, if you can watch it, because this is going to be a challenge to decorate both sides. Thank you my darling, thank you for responding. I will put some stuff on the back of this at another date, some of these pieces, but I just need to get this dry. So my intention for here, because this will be the back, is going to be to pop a nice rose as if it's hanging down, and one of those onto there, one of those onto there, and a third rose there, along with some of this greenery. That makes sense, but I can't do that and then put this on to flip it for the other side. So, but the that's the intention, is that I'm going to do have some additional bits, if that makes any sense to anyone. So let me just do that. But if I try doing that now, it'll become a nightmare. So this piece will slot neatly, she says. It will slot neatly. There we are. Let's get that into its base, and that, there we are, that's reasonably gone in. Excellent. So I happen to know that those paint pots are on there, so I've got that in its base, and I want to pop that over the top for here. Thank you Sarah, thank you Sheila, thank you very much. I'm taking Gizmo for watching at the same time. Lovely. Well, exercise is really important, isn't it? We absolutely need to get it. Hello Patricia, welcome my darling, thank you so much for joining me. There we are. So we'll just, so this is just is a PVA glue, so it's just going to make, and I can add this and it will grab reasonably quickly. If I overload it with glue, it will squidge out, and most PVA glues dry shiny, so I don't really want it to squidge out, and then we have to mop it all up, when even then it will still stay a bit shiny. So that is going to sit onto there, and that will sit into there. So right, so while that dries, we're popping that over there. And underwater well, I think they're brave having, so that one is going to sit there with that piece up there. Well, that is the intention. Okie dokie, with one of those. We're going to add some more pieces along the way. She says. where's that one gone? There we are. So we're going to pop that into there. Right, so that's sort of approximately where we're going. But in the pack of papers from Desire is a set of dancing people. So I'm just going to give them a little bit of a shape, because they're not going to be flat, are they? Let's see if I can find my collal glue gel, because that's going to have a bit of dimension. There we are. And that will then allow me to pop. And I know she's floating, and I'm not mithered about that, onto there. And then I've got some sentiments cut from the Desire pack. So the starting point of all achievement is desire, and we've got dance is the hidden language of the soul, and the dance is a poem in which each movement is a word. So I'm going to pop one of those up underneath there. So let me just get rid of that horrible white border, which is an inevitability of fussy cutting. So that will go underneath there. This one, I'm not worried about the ladies, but I will get rid of the white onto there. So that can go into there, but we're going to add some more pieces. So there we are. Let's just load that over there. She says, icky, icky, sticky, ucky mucky. Right, so we've got some gold wax just to pop onto there, and I'm just going to soften that down a little bit. There we are, and it's allowing, it'll help bring out all of the details in that mould. There we are. So I was going to say, I've got another one of them. So the other pieces will go on the back, so that's cut, that's cool. And then, right, okie dokie, so we've got, let's just add, I think actually I'm going to stick to what I did on an hour about turquoise or green, but actually I'm just going to wipe off the gold that's on my hands onto here, because I think it's going to work just as well. Tiny amount of it. You see all of the detail now coming back, popping into those pieces, just because I've lifted up some wax and popped it on. And it's such a nice way of just adding an extra dimension. There we are. So let's just pop that onto there. You can see how flexible that mould is, and then we can there we are. Okay, and then we'll add some more pieces as we go. So let's just wipe our sticky mix, pop that over there. So this piece is going to need some gel medium. However, whichever way I do it, it's going to need some gel medium onto here, because I've got areas that are, you know, big void areas in here. So if I pop doesn't all have to be sat down, but it does have to have enough catching, because then I've got it on there that I don't want. So that can go there, that can go there. And then, because I'm using gel medium, and I know that this dries opaque when dry, because I've got the matte version, not the glossy. I'm just going to lift that off, and I can give that a little push and see where it's going to connect. And that's cool. I'm just going to tuck that into there. And I add a bit more gel medium onto the back of that one. I'll squash around. Now, how did I have it? I think I had it comme ça, possibly. Possibly not, but there we are. That's the way it's going to be. There we are. I'll pop that into there. So we're linking that together. I know that I want that extra flower into there, and that's not sat into there, so that's fine. So I can move this to where I want it to be. I might or might not put that in there. Let me see. We need a little bit more gold wax onto some of these pieces. There we are. So let's just add the gold wax into there, and then I can put that piece. So Patricia, I have an awful lot of things, way too many things, so every so often I have a jolly good throw out. I hear you say. They sit on my wall and eventually they all get dusty. So when there is a stage where a little blow of a hairdryer at them still doesn't make them look very nice, I then decide it's time to just be brutal and throw stuff out. Now, I'm sure I had another one of these into here, but maybe not. Maybe not. Do I want? Yeah, I am going to pop that up there. It's not the original place I'd intended for it. Oops, I've got way too much on there, but hey ho. There we are. We'll just take some of that, rub some of that back. I suppose you really don't want it coming out of his head, but hey ho. There we are. I think that's better with the two of them. At least it doesn't quite look as if it's just one. It looks like the rose bush is behind them by tucking those into there like that. There we are. Okay. So, do I want to add another piece of that onto there? I think I might. Let's just add a bit more of that. Yeah, that's where we want that. So we're going to pop that there in that gap. And we're going to pop that into there. There we are. So let's pop that there. As I say, later on, when this has had a chance to all set. Thank you, Sarah. I mean, it's usually several years before I throw things away. They sit, they get moved out and about. I repurpose stuff if I can, move stuff about. That's straight. There we are. So, and then I will put the other pieces when this is dry on, on the back, and that is then will be this piece finished. So I hope that you have all had a lovely time, that you've enjoyed watching me making a merry mess. Some stuff I could pass on. Yeah, I could do a challenge where people could have some of them. I mean, I do have to absolutely empty out my craft room. There might be some rehoming of stuff having to happen. Watch this space. So there we are. So those will go on the back along with another sentiment. I might add some rub-ons onto the base, but I can't do that while it's hanging in the middle of, sitting up resting like that. And if I try and move it now, then the I'm just lifting some gel medium that's down there that's going to irritate me. There we are. There we are. So watch this space, you never know, I might rehome some stuff. So thank you very much for watching today. I very much appreciate your company. Take care, enjoy whatever you're doing this evening, and stay safe. I will post the finished picture in a couple of days. So ta-ta for now.